So Boxing Day last year, I started training for my first ever marathon. I remember being very ill over my birthday and Christmas in December, and then I kind of started training when I was still ill. I still had a bad cough, but I kind of did it. And then in April, I finally ran my first ever marathon in Manchester. Some of you have followed my journey along during training and leading up to the marathon, and kind of my struggles and the injuries that I've had. And since then, I feel like I've come such a long way. I've made mistakes, I've learned from them, and here I am kind of just going through my achievements in 2024 and telling you a bit about what's coming up in 2025. So I ran the Manchester Marathon in April. It was my first ever marathon, and it didn't go so well during training because I picked a training plan that was a little bit too much for my ability at the time. So I was increasing my distance and intensity too quickly, and I ended up getting injured probably about 2 months or a month and a half before the actual marathon. So I've not really been able to run very well and not been able to follow the training plan properly. But because I kind of really wanted to run the marathon and everything was planned and booked, I just still did it. I still went to Manchester, still ran the marathon. I was really hoping to run it in less than the cutoff, which was 6 hours, but I ended up doing it in 6 hours, 1 minute. But I'm still really glad that I did it and kind of made myself go through all that. I feel like running isn't always going to go well, especially for a first marathon or any kind of other marathons in the future. And from then I felt like I've learned a lot, and I've also accepted that training didn't go well, and yeah, I just learned from the mistakes, and I'm grateful for kind of things not going so well in a way. So I know to take it slower and steady and make sure I recover enough and not push myself too hard to the point where I'm injured. While I was still injured, I ran the Ultra Trail Snowdonia 25k the month after I did the marathon. I wasn't able to train properly because I was still injured and I was still recovering, but again, everything was booked and planned. I decided to go to Snowdonia anyway and do the run and see what happens. The cut was 5.5 hours. I was hoping I would do it in the cut off, but that didn't happen either because it was so much harder than I thought. I really underestimated how hard Snowdonia was going to climb. I've never climbed it before, never been there. So I was too ambitious, hoping I would be able to run up it. It was impossible. I could barely walk up it, and I was just crawling up the mountain basically. And then when I got to the top, I was happy I finally got there, but then coming back down the other side was a real struggle, and it was my quads and my knees kind of just didn't want to play, just kind of didn't want to do it, and I really struggled and I missed the cut off. Despite getting a medal at the end, I still missed the cut off. So yeah, that was kind of, to me, another failed attempt at an event, like a big event, and very challenging. But again, I've learned a lot. I know kind of what sort of training I need to do next time. And yeah, from that, I'm taking kind of all these lessons, but I'm still glad I did it. And yeah, I will try to do better next time. In the summer, I managed to pace my first ever 10k at Cheltenham. I've never done anything like that before, but I really enjoyed it, and it was really nice to be able to feel like I'm helping others with running as well. The day I paced the 10k, it was nothing about me at all. It was just me trying to stick to my pace, get to the finish line, and on the way take all these other runners with me, hoping for their PB. And some of them were running their first 10k. It was quite a special event for me because after the event, people were coming up to me thanking me to say thank you for pacing. I was right behind you. It was just a really nice feeling that I was able to help others, and other people appreciated kind of me doing something that I've never done before. I would definitely do it again. I really enjoyed it. So that was another thing that I've done that I've never done before this year. And then I ran a half marathon PB. It was an 8-minute PB, which wasn't expected. My first half marathon was 2.5 hours. I've been trying to kind of run a faster half marathon ever since. But when I did another half marathon earlier on in the year before Manchester, I was already injured at that point, so there was no chance I could run any faster than 2.5 hours. So in the summer, I did another half marathon and I got an 8-minute PB. So to me, that was huge. I was so happy. I felt like I trained for it. I made sure I fueled right and I rested and I tried to do all the right things, and it kind of paid off and I was so happy. And it did really make me think that consistency can mean so much in running, and that makes me want to keep doing it because it's so important. And then towards the end of the year, some of you also know that I ran the Chicago Marathon, which is my first ever major. I wasn't expecting to get in this year. I applied for the ballot and I just assumed I wasn't going to get it. And then I got an email saying I got into a Chicago Marathon. So I felt like I had to do it because otherwise I may never get a chance to do it again. It's so hard to get a place, and it was kind of just meant to be. And without even thinking too much, I just decided, well, I just have to do it. So I did. I made sure I trained throughout summer, and learning from my mistakes running my first marathon, I made sure I wasn't going to get injured. I took things slower and longer. So rather than doing a 16-week training plan, I did a 20-week training plan. My fueling has changed. I try to sleep more as well, and generally just eating better, increasing protein and even carbs. I used to feel like I'll restrict myself having carbohydrates and things like that, but then I kind of didn't restrict so much. Yeah, so overall I feel like I've been trying to be healthier, preparing for Chicago Marathon, and I get that again, that paid off and it kind of all went really well. I'll make a separate video on my Chicago Marathon experience and a recap. I've been meaning to do that since I ran the marathon in October, but I've just not had the chance to do it. But I will do a recap video, and hopefully I'll be able to help the runners who are doing it next year, which is very exciting, and congratulations to them who got a place. Not being injured running the Chicago Marathon meant I got a PB. It was a 39 PB, which wasn't expected. I think if I wasn't injured running the Manchester Marathon this year, I would have done it in a faster time. So it seems like a big PB this time. I don't think next time I'll be able to run it that much faster because I'm just very slow. I'll train for it. I'll definitely try, but I just don't think I'll be able to run that much faster than I'm currently running. So what's happening next year for me? It's definitely going to be a lot of running still. I really love running. I really enjoy it. And I feel like having run throughout 2024 and just kind of all the mistakes I've made and things I've learned about myself, I really enjoy running. And I feel like running is a very physical activity, obviously, and you have to be physically fit and be able to sustain kind of the distance running and the mileage that you do every week for training. But I also feel like mentally it has done so much for me. I've learned a lot about myself and how resilient you can actually be. I think it's definitely something you can train over time. Sometimes when things hurt and you're tired, and even when I was injured, things were painful, and I feel like emotionally I've learned a lot as well. I just feel like I've grown as a person through running, both physically, mentally and emotionally. So I'll definitely be continuing that next year. I have no plans of stopping anytime soon. So my aim for next year would be to run 2 marathons at least, hoping to run a spring marathon and an autumn marathon. I think moving forward that would be quite a nice goal to have, to run 2 marathons a year. I think that's a good amount to train for and keep me going and not overdo it at the same time. So at the moment in spring I have the Newport Marathon. Unfortunately I didn't get a place to run Berlin next year, so at the moment no majors for 2025, but I'll be running Newport in spring and then Amsterdam Marathon in autumn, which I'm quite excited about. Hoping to run it faster, but we'll see how it goes. I'm also running the Ultra Trail 25 again this year, hoping to run it within the cutoff of 5.5 hours. Despite getting a medal last time, on the actual website and the results it shows as DNF, but I'm really hoping to actually finish within 5.5 hours. My plan is to not get injured obviously and train better on hills, both uphill and downhill. So I'll be running that again in May next year. I'm also hoping to finally run the Bristol Half Marathon and the Cardiff Half Marathon. Bristol, I've signed up for the half marathon for a couple of years now, but something always seemed to have happened. Either I was injured or just something else. I've not been able to run the Bristol half yet. I've done the 10K a couple of times, but never run the half marathon. So that's on my list of runs to do next year. Same with Cardiff. I think this is the third time I've entered, and it's just not happened over the years for various reasons. Last year because it was the week before Chicago, and to me Chicago was the bigger event, and to me it was more important to be ready for Chicago, so I didn't run the Cardiff half last year, but I entered it again. It sold out so fast. I'm so glad I got a place to run it, so I'm going to run that one next year. So those are the two half marathons I've got planned for 2025. And the other big event I've signed myself up to is Race to the Stones 100k, which is huge. I actually originally signed up for the 50k. I thought I'll do the day 2 of 50k because it's a shorter distance obviously, and it's closer to home. I thought I could try and do my first ultra running a 50k, but my colleague kind of talked me into entering the 100k ballot. I didn't know it was a ballot system. I don't know if it's new this year, but we both entered the 100k thinking we won't get a place, and you know, we just won't get a place, and we ended up both getting into the 100k. So I transferred from the 50k to 100k next year. I've never even run a 50k ultra before, so I'm a little bit worried about that race. That is in July, but because I've signed up for it and I've got a running buddy to do it with me, hopefully I can get through the finish line in one piece. I've heard the cutoff is quite generous and the support is great. So I'm hoping it'll go well, but obviously I have to train for it a lot. So that's one of the bigger things that's coming up in 2025. But all the races that I'm doing are exciting, and I have goals and reasons why I want to do them, and they're going to mean a lot to me next year. I'm not going to run too many of the smaller races. Same as this year where I've not really run a lot of 10Ks. It's more like half marathons and marathon distances and doing the longer distances. So it'll be similar in 2025. I want to focus on really challenging myself and doing better, becoming a better runner and hopefully a faster runner, and just becoming fitter and healthier as a person. So those will be my main goals for 2025. So at the moment, those are the only ones I kind of signed myself up to do. Let me know what you've signed up for in 2025 and what your goals are. I would love to know kind of what you're getting up to and what you're training for. I love the comments of you guys telling me what you're training for and if you're on the same journey, and sometimes you tell me you're running the same race or training for the same race. So I really enjoy reading comments, and then you always help me as well and give me tips and advice, and sometimes you ask me questions that I don't necessarily know the answers to, but it makes me think and makes me do research, and I think, oh, I never even thought of that, and all of it is just very interesting and I really enjoy it. And for some of you, I even know what you're training for at the moment and what's your next race and kind of what you're aiming for. And also those of you who are training for the same races as me next year. So I kind of feel like I know you. So that's really nice. So thank you all for your support. I will continue to do better. There's always room for improvement. Yeah, but I just want to say thank you, and I will speak to you soon. I won't disappear for as long as I have this time. I will make videos again soon and keep you updated about my journey, my training and everything. So yeah, if you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing and like the video and leave a comment to say hi and let me know what your 2025 goals are. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Uni. I will see you very soon. Bye.